And we believe, working together, we can create a brighter, sustainable world for all of us. That's the world we visualize at Monsanto.
In 2011, readers of the American magazine Natural News voted Monsanto the most evil corporation in the world.
The air is unfit to breathe. Our food is unfit to eat.
I want you to get up now.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, stick your head out and yell, "I'm as bad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Since President Obama signed what critics call the Monsanto Protection Bill in 2013, allowing the cultivation of genetically modified crops, people around the world have been coming out into the streets every May to protest the global Goliath. Last year, Monsanto and Bayer merged to become the world's biggest seed and chemical company, further antagonising its opponents. This year's annual March Against Monsanto was once again set to bring thousands around the world out into the streets in protest. Unfortunately, in Sydney, a forecast of stormy weather caused a last-minute change of venue from the CBD to a small gallery in this community centre in Sydney's inner west. The stormy weather didn't eventuate, and though the sun came out, not many protesters did. But for the speakers, size didn't matter.
It only takes a really small amount of people to come together working in unison to create big change.
And then there was the choir.
We'll resist Monsanto's greed. We support diversity. Keep GM out of our seed. Expose their lies for all to see.
After the 1960s, there was clearly a real lull in a lot of advanced capitalist countries in terms of protests. I guess through the 80s and 90s there were quite low levels, particularly in a place like Australia. But the global justice movement arising around the year 2000 was a new wave of sort of anti-systemic protests, taking up issues of globalisation and international inequality.
Give Ecopella another clap.
I work one day a week in a bookshop and I sing in two choirs, Ecopella and Solidarity. A lot of the concerts that we've done so far have been fighting against things that government are in favour of, big corporations are in favour of, and that really aren't making our world a better place to live and aren't making our planet a better and a healthier place.
I think the wonderful thing about the global justice movement is it included everybody from people who wanted to literally stand in front of delegates trying to enter these venues to Christian organisations who were involved in Jubilee 2000 and highlighting questions of international debt and the exploitation of the developing world. There's a place for everybody.
Raise your banners high.
Wednesday night in the inner city, Ecopella's rehearsal night. Miguel Heatwall is the choir's founder and musical director.
So we're going to be 20 next year, and we've been singing about environmental issues for all that time, at protest rallies and public meetings and that kind of thing.
Ecopella.
Let's pretend it isn't happening. Let's pretend it isn't true. Let's pretend that we can go on just the way we used to do.
I think once you discover how dire the planet's situation is and the people in it, I think any person with conscience just can't walk away from it.
Keep the reef.
Last week they sang out against Monsanto. Tonight they'll prepare for a gig protesting the Adani mine project in Queensland.
I think there has been a tradition of targeting large companies with a profile to try and see whether through targeting them it can highlight particular issues of concern. So obviously with Adani, the issue is climate change.
This is coal. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
The Treasurer knows the rule on crops.
It's coal.
It's the biggest challenge facing global humanity. Someone needs to be doing it, and why not me?
why not me?
One of the effects our music has is to raise the morale of people who are doing a very difficult thing. But people activists that get out there and do stuff, they need all the support and encouragement they can get.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Meredith, and thanks to all of the Ecopella choir for singing so beautifully and, you know, keeping the flame burning at so many protests. And it really does bolster the spirit of all those people who are out there on the streets, week after week, you know, in front of AGL or whatever it may be, just, you know, making sure that people know that they don't have a social license to do this, to ruin our beautiful planet. This film was made. Westpac have ruled out funding Adani. So that, again, is an incredible victory for the community and the groups that have been working on this.
I think all movements are often a slow build. We often look back to the 1960s and think these things happen quickly, but you know, lone people or people in twos and threes petitioned and protested against the recruitment of soldiers as part of the early days of ending the Vietnam War. Now, when we look back on that, we just see the massive numbers on anti-war demonstrations or anti-Vietnam War demonstrations. But it took a long time to build that movement. So if you think about all the small bits of organising that went on over years, sometimes decades, in order to then build the base of those mass movements happening.
A song cue. Let's have Ecopella back. Thank you so much for having me.